Forena skins are basically Forena's way of controlling look and feel of a set of reports. They're basically a configuration file that dictates a set of CSS, JavaScript, and settings that are used to let you control look and feel across a group of reports or across your whole site. To make a new to make a new skin file, what we're going to do is go ahead and start with the default skin.skinfo file, which is a sample skin that comes with Forena, and we'll just go ahead and make a copy of that. We'll call it demo.skinfo. All of the skin definitions need to be in .skinfo file. And once we've created a skinfo file, we'll go ahead and change the name. We'll see how that's used later. We'll call this one the demo skin. Description. And as you can see in the example, it illustrates that the format of a skinfo file is very similar to the format of the .info file that you'll see when making new themes. You have a place to add scripts, so we'll go ahead and add in this case, we're including a data tables script. And a Java and a default skin.js file. We'll get into that later. You'll notice then there's a style sheets section. These, of course, can be included in any order. That's indicating that there's a table padding.css that is being added to all of the reports. And then a section at the bottom for defining that illustrates some examples for defining settings, whether they be settings that are used just by you and your reports, or whether they are actual settings used by the SVG graphing library, which we talked about earlier. So let's go ahead and do that. To set your skinfo, your default skin, you can go to the configuration menu for Forena reports. You'll notice this default report skin, and you'll notice nothing shows up right now. Well, that's because I forgot to tell you one important thing. After you've made a copy of your skin file, you need to clear the Forena's report cache. That's done in the structure menu, Forena reports, clear cache. Or alternatively, you can do it using the drush command, drush frxcc, from within your site's directory. So drush frxcc works, and so now going again to the configuration screen for Forena reports, we should see, default skin, because I've done this twice in the demos now, have forgotten to actually save the changes to the skin file that I created earlier. So let's do that, and we'll go ahead and clear the Forena cache again using drush, and then back into here and reload the page, and we should see the demo skin that we just created. So we'll hit save configuration, and you'll see nothing really different to begin with, but what I was going to do is illustrate ways in which you can alter the CSS. So the CSS file, of course, so now it didn't include one because it didn't exist, but if we go ahead and create a new CSS file called table padding.css, that file is going to automatically get included as it's referenced in the demo skin file, so we can put in, maybe some odd or even row spacing. So maybe anytime we see a tr.odd, we'll use a background color And that would be kind of a typical thing that we might include in one of these skin files. But of course, it's just CSS, so you can kind of take it from there. If you'll recall from the last demo, the last screencast we did, we had made a report that was a graph, and one of the things that, of course, is that was a 3D pie chart in this case, and I have basically reverted all of the customizations that were in the Forena Graphing Part 2 thing, so that I could illustrate how we might do the same thing in the Forena Skins file without having to modify each individual graph. So if you'll recall, in that situation, we had created a we had set this background parameter that was going to apply rounding, and as the example suggests, you can go ahead and in here add your own custom FRX SVG graph parameters to say back_round, and if I recall correctly, we set that to 15. And sure enough, you'll see that once we do this with our default skin set, then it will go ahead and apply that background parameter or option to all of the graphs that are generated. So that's an example of using settings in that file. Now also we can do things where we might extend the we might add some other parameters that are our own parameters that might get used in a report, so we can just make them up as we go and put them in here and then reference them in the report. We'll see that if I put in this company field and I say company equal, well, I'll just say Forena Solutions here, then in any report that I create, I can reference that parameter, whether it, for in any way that I want. So if I were, for example, in the sample to simple table of states thing, I could go ahead and edit that, and inside my file here, I could put maybe an H2 field in here, and I could say skin.company and refer to that parameter inside my report like this. Oh, whoops. So I'll go ahead and save those changes and go back to the view, and you'll see this Forena Solutions value is actually coming from the skin file. That's not a great use, but I use this kind of technique, for example, when I'm delivering reports to customers and I want them to have some kind of heading labels that get applied that's in a skin file that they can control, but the FRX file is the one that I've given them. And then finally, one of the more interesting things we can do with these skin files is to add the use of JavaScript libraries. So in this case, I'm talking about using the data tables jQuery plugin, and I want to add that to most of my reports. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and download the data tables. I don't think I have that installed yet, so I'll just do a quick search on jQuery data tables, and we'll go ahead and find that and download the latest version. I'll show that in the Finder so that I can find that, and there it is. I'll extract that, and that creates a data tables 194.3, and we'll go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to put this in my demo sites default, whoops, not sites default, excuse me, sites all files, or all libraries folder. And if I put this in here, I'm going to go ahead and rename it to be what the settings file expects. right? So I have data tables, and inside there is a media plugin or media JS directory as you'd expect. And that is exactly the path that's referenced in the scripts tag. So that's going to include the data tables plugin. But in order to really use the data tables plugin, I need to do some stuff on document ready. So I'm going to say that I'm going to create a demo skin.js file. And just putting that in there doesn't create one. So I'll go ahead and make a new file that is demo skin.js, and what I want to do is I want to include the sample, use the look at the jQuery data table examples to see how I most should include this. Now you'll see that it wants us to do this based on document ready. If you're new to Drupal, you may or may not know that document ready is already taken and used by Drupal, so we can't override document ready. But instead, we need to do a thing called implementing Drupal behaviors. And so if you do a quick search on Drupal 7 behaviors, you'll see this managing JavaScript in Drupal tab, and there's an example about using jQuery and setting up behaviors in Drupal 7. So I'll go ahead and copy this example as a starting point, and that is going to be the contents of my that is going to be the contents of my file. Now the behavior name is not important, it's just got to not conflict, so I'm going to go ahead and call this behaviors.Forena demo skin or something like that, and that's going to set to attach, and we're not going to do this click example, but rather inside this function we're going to do what we would do on document attach for the data tables examples, or on the document ready function for data tables. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, and we'll go ahead and put that in here. And then of course the next thing that we need to do is change the selector here, because we don't want to just do this just for example, but we're going to do it for all tables, and apply that. And if we go back to our Forena demo, sure enough, we've added the data tables jQuery functionality to all of our reports. So any table that gets displayed is going to have jQuery data tables attached to it. Of course, you would probably want to change that to a different selector and start classing them in your reports, but it gives you an idea how you can really quickly and easily just add a JS library that's going to get used in some set of reports or in all of the reports on your site. Now, if you just want that data tables library to be loaded on a subset of reports, you can change the skin that's used for a particular reports on the Format tab. So right now it's using the default, but we could say, no, I want this to use the default skin, in which case it wouldn't load the data tables plugin, or I can use the demo skin, in which case it would. And you can define as many of these skins as you need in order to create basically libraries of JavaScript functionality that get included in your reports. Well, that should give you an idea about how powerful skin files can be. There's a lot more to learn about them. In particular, for skin files are also leveraged when we do PDF generation to set style sheets just for PDF transformations and things like that. So there's a lot of things that these can be used for. So have fun making your skins.